Right, something to understand here about when you're doing small scale construction, you know, like the mini houses and cottages and stuff like that, one of the advantages you have is that you're purchasing less material. And that means it opens the door to using, let's say, a little bit higher quality material than you would normally expect to use on a larger project. The other thing is that you are able to buy material in what regular home builders would call a mismatched lot. Okay, so they would have a problem with a lot being mismatched stuff, and then they can't use it, okay, because they have to have things, you know, relatively matched throughout a larger structure. When you're doing smaller stuff, I'm at a Lowe's in Portland, Oregon. One of the things you can do, and this is at Lowe's, at Home Depot, at larger lumber type places. I've had really bad luck with this at smaller lumber yards, but at larger places, you go through what they call the returns and the Cull lumber pile. Now, returns is usually where somebody ordered something that was relatively custom and returned it for whatever reason. And these are usually brand new items, but they may have been kind of knocked around somebody else's construction site. So occasionally what's going to happen is your prices become perhaps a little bit negotiable on these. The other thing is there are people, by virtue of the fact that the state gave them a contractor's license, and sometimes they're buying several $1,000s worth of material at a time. They just kind of abuse the situation. Something's obviously been a little beat up at a construction site, and then it's returned. So here, these doors are being sold at a regular supply place for only $9 each. That's because they're going to need to be painted, but they're otherwise new. It just that realize it may have been knocked around, so you got to inspect some of this stuff, and it's usually an as-is type situation. This framed door, I can't tell if that's exterior or interior. I think it's an interior door for $70. And of course, here's a nice exterior one with windows, $350. It was a special order return. Now, I personally can get better deals than that at a salvage place. It does construct and salvage. But your other advantage, and Lowe's is definitely better about this than Home Depot is by a wide margin, is that when something's been returned in batches and it was left outside, a lot of times it got warped. So, rather than have their lumber pile on the inside all buggered up from people fishing through it for the better boards, especially retail customers, okay, are not, and then what happens is the funkier stuff is on top. So what they're doing at Lowe's now is they put this stuff together in a batch, and they reduce it by about 50% roughly, and and sometimes it's been here for a little while, like this one's probably been here for a little while because the printing's faded on that tag. So what you would do is you'd pull the tag off of that, take it in with you, and you're getting that whole bundled batch. Now, when I look at this particular bundled batch, it has some 1x material that I need to get a hold of, a bunch of 2x's. I'm going to think through this one because it's actually a fair deal. Over here, now this is a fair amount of decking, okay, and this is kind of an expensive material that I otherwise really wouldn't want to buy at retail, but they're not discounting it all that much either, okay, because it was just kind of a, kind of as-is returned item, but that's enough for, a smaller scale project. And so if you are building a tiny house or a small building or a cabin project, and you live where you have access to major lumber stores, and you're kind of building at your own leisure, let's say you don't have to live in it full time, and you're not on a tight time schedule to get the project done, then this is one of the secrets. Keep an eye on the Cull lumber pile for the slightly damaged stuff. Now, the other aspect of this is you can do a little bit of negotiating in the store on some of this stuff too. So that's how you can get this, especially when you're just building a few pieces at a time on a smaller scale sort of a thing. It'll help greatly reduce your production cost on the project.